Good evening, America. I'm your host, and tonight we're coming to you live, well, technically recorded, edited, scrubbed, and approved by a board of corporate censors who want to make sure your blood pressure stays exactly where the pharmaceutical ads want it. We have to talk about the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina. It's beautiful, isn't it? The Italian Alps, the fashion, the Prosecco, and the traditional Olympic spirit of let's build a $1 billion bobsled track that will be a pigeon coop by 2028. But while the athletes were sliding down hills, the real downhill slalom happened in the broadcast booth. And we're talking about Boogate. So, the opening ceremony happened a few days ago. It was a spectacle. Was a spectacle? It's a spectacle. And Italy gave us opera, it gave us light shows, and enough Armani to clothe a small continent. And then the camera panned to the VIP box. Enter Vice President JD Vance. Now, JD Vance was there representing the US of A. He was looking sharp, looking like a man who just realized that Cortina isn't a brand of luxury sedan. But the second his face hit the Jumbotron, the big screen in the stadium, the Italian crowd did something very European. They didn't cheer, they didn't clap, they unleashed what we would call a Pfeif-Konzert, a cacophony of boos so loud it probably triggered an avalanche warning in the Swiss border region. And why? Because apparently the Europeans aren't huge fans of the current US immigration policy. There were protests outside about ICE agents being present at the games, and the crowd decided to let the VP know exactly how they felt. It was raw. It was democratic. It was completely missing from your TV. If you watched the broadcast on NBC back home, you saw a very different version of reality. In the NBC version, JD Vance appeared on screen, and the audio was as smooth as a jazz lounge in a 5-star hotel. It was neutral. It was polite. It was like the crowd was collectively holding their breath in awe of his beard grooming. NBC took that roaring stadium of angry Italians and used their magic censorship wand to turn a riot into a nap. They literally photoshopped the sound. Think about that for a second. We live in a world where you cannot trust a Tinder profile because of filters, and now you can't even trust the background noise of a sporting event. NBC didn't just broadcast the Olympics, they remixed them. They're not a news organization anymore. They are a DJ at a wedding where the bride and groom are screaming at each other, but the music is just, don't worry, be happy, on a loop. In Germany, we have a great word for this, Hofberichterstattung, and that means court reporting. Like in the old days when the king would fall off his horse into a pile of manure and the royal chronicler would write, His Majesty performed a daring and graceful inspection of the local soil. That's what NBC did. They saw the king, or the viceroy, or the VP, getting dunked on by an entire stadium. And they decided the American people aren't ready for this. Their ears are too delicate. Let's give them the elevator music version of international relations. It's insulting, isn't it? They think you are toddlers who need your news pureed into a soft, flavorless mush so you don't choke on the truth. Oh, don't worry, Timmy. The Italians weren't booing the vice president. They were just saying, Vance, Vance, and that's Italian for, we love our policies. And let's look at the why they were booing. The protests were about the presence of US Border Patrol and ICE agents at the Olympics. Now, I do understand security. It's the Olympics. You need guards. But bringing ICE to the Italian Alps? What are you expecting? A migrant caravan of penguins? And are you worried that a rogue bobsled team is going to try to seek asylum in the middle of a triple axel? And it's the ultimate American move, to be honest. You just don't send athletes, you send your geopolitical baggage. You're like that one friend who brings his own folding chair and a list of grievances to a pool party. And then you act in shock when the host doesn't want you there. I think we really need to add a new category to the Winter Games. Synchronized gaslighting. Gold medal, NBC, for their flawless execution of the mute button. Silver medal, the US government for pretending that everyone loves you as long as you edit the tapes. And bronze medal, the Italian crowd for wasting their breath on a broadcast that would eventually sound like a library. If people are going to start editing the audio for politicians, why stop there? So let's do it for the athletes. If a skier wipes out and starts swearing in 3 different languages, NBC should replace it with the sound of a slight whistle and a whoopsie daisy. If a figure skater misses a jump, let's just CGI them landing it perfectly. Why bother with reality at all? And the best part? They are the country that lectures the world on free speech. They tell everyone else, you can't censor the media. That's what dictators do. And then, at the biggest global event on earth, their primary broadcaster goes, shield the eyes and ears of the masses, the vice president is being criticized by people who don't pay for Peacock Premium. That is a masterclass in irony. And we want the outside view as long as the outside view is a mirror that makes us look 5 pounds thinner. No, that's not how it's going to work. So as you watch the rest of the Milan games, just remember, what you're hearing might not be what's happening. And if you see a clip of a politician and it sounds like a choir of angels singing in the background, they are probably being chased by a mob with pitchforks. And if the announcer says the atmosphere is electric, it probably means there's a riot in Section B. And if JD Vance wins a gold medal in staying stoic while being erased from audio history, well, at least he earned something in Italy. And we've reached a point where the opening ceremony is just the opening argument for a lawsuit. Enjoy the games, America, and remember, if you didn't hear the booing, did it even happen? According to NBC's lawyers, absolutely not. Good night, and make your life be edited as generously as the vice president's travel vlog.